influential mission field. We say in Hollywood that Washington, D.C. is the seat of power, and Hollywood is the seat of influence. And as Christians in Hollywood, we are committed to reach out to people with the love of Jesus and to work as great professionals so that we get a chance to reach people who are actually in a hidden people's group.
That's right.
People that are untouchable by other believers. People that won't listen to a Christian because they've been hurt by the church, because they feel like they've been judged, they've been boycotted, they've been told how to act. And yet as Christians, being able to get right beside them and work with them, we can build relationships. We can tell them about Jesus. We can love them and serve them with the love of Jesus. And so arts and entertainment is such a strong, influential mountain that I feel so honored to be a part of a great panel tonight and to be after Roma to say, if we want to change the world, we can do it by praying for the people who are creating the content that touches people groups all across the globe. A lot of Christians think about, we've got to change the content, but the content won't change until the hearts of the people creating it change. And they won't change unless we pray for them and invite God to come in and do his work. There are two ways that Christians can have the greatest influence into the people who are creating culture that goes all over the globe. One is to go there, to be a solid Christian, to be good at their craft, and to work and live in the Hollywood entertainment industry. The second way is to pray. That's what you can do. And you can encourage young, good, solid, strong believers with talent to come to Hollywood, and then you can pray for them. I know people who are at churches that send out missionaries to cannibal tribes. They pay for them, they pray for them. And yet someone in their church says they want to go to Hollywood, and they say, you'll lose your faith. The disconnect between what the church can do, what Christians can do to build up the Christian community in Hollywood, to pray for the people there who are not bad people. They are smart, they're creative, they're wonderful. It's my family in Hollywood. And yet, a lot of them don't know Jesus. And the only way they're going to get to do that is to build friendships with someone or to be prayed for. And so it's a place for all of us to gather and to say, what can we do to pray, to commit to pray? I know prayer groups for every other one of the mountains, but I don't know any prayer groups for Hollywood. So that's why 18 years ago I started the Hollywood Prayer Network. I wanted to not change the people in Hollywood. I wanted to change the church, to mobilize Christians, to pray for people that they're either afraid of or they don't understand or they think have everything in the world. Because I believe if you pray for somebody, you can't hate them. And so to mobilize the church, to pray for content creators, to pray for the growing community of Christians in Hollywood, to pray for the impact that those few people in that one city have across the globe can make an eternal difference. And this is a room also of prayers. Culture shapers can change culture by doing it and by praying for it. And that's what we can do. I'll tell you a quick story of how you can make a difference for praying for people going into Hollywood. I've been prayed for by people my whole career in Hollywood. My husband's a composer. We've been there almost 40 years. We've built long-term relationships. It's a slow-moving mission field. But I got hired on a job where I was with Headliners and Legends with Matt Lauer, a celebrity profile show. And the first person I was assigned to profile was Hugh Hefner. And I was assigned with another gentleman I had never met before. And I went home that night and I was bummed. I said to my husband, Jim, I don't want to do that. I'm going to spend 3 months doing a 1-hour special on Hugh Hefner. And he said, if you don't do it, somebody else will. So why don't you do it and do it differently? And I started getting excited. But this Rick guy that I was assigned with, I had never known him before. So the next day I went into the office and I said, Rick, I have to be honest, I did not want to do Hugh Hefner. And he said, neither did I. I said, really? He said, yeah, I went home and I called my pastor. I said, you did? What did he say? And he said, Rick, if you don't do it, somebody else will. So why don't you do it differently? We realized at that moment that we were both chosen, the only 2 Christians on the whole staff of that show. We were chosen to do Hugh Hefner, and we started praying. And we decided through prayer that we wouldn't just celebrate all the accomplishments that he had, we would find out why he became who he was. And so we started interviewing family friends, childhood friends, friends from the industry, and we discovered, our last interview with him, that he confirmed the whole story that was laid out. So the first question we asked Hef on the day that we were at the mansion was, what was your life like growing up? And his first answer, well, we believed in God, but it wasn't a very loving home. My parents never told my brother or me that they loved us. And my mother had a phobia of germs, and she never hugged us or kissed us. He said there was one thing they gave me that I loved. It was a blanket. I slept with it, I carried it, I loved it. It was my bunny blanket. It had little bunny rabbits around the outside of the blanket. And he said, I love that blanket. He said, I wanted a puppy, but my mother didn't want the germs in the house. But when I was 7 years old, he said, I got a tumor in my ear, and I had to have surgery. And the doctor said to my mom, he might lose his hearing. And so he said, I remember my mom on the phone with her best friend, and her friend said, Hef may lose his hearing, give him a puppy. So she broke down, got a puppy, put it in the part of the house that she never went into. And Hef said he loved this puppy. He did the best thing he could do. He gave the puppy his blanket to sleep on as his greatest show of love. But what he didn't know is that 5 days later, the puppy died. And he watched his mother take the puppy, or have the puppy taken away, and then in front of him, she burned his bunny blanket. And he said to all of us in the room, I guess I'm just a little kid still looking for love. The rest of the interview went on to talk about how he couldn't find love in this world. He had friends come over every Friday night to watch romantic movies, old movies, so that he could find the love he had never discovered. He married people. He found relationships where he said, I've never found the lyrics of a love song to be true to me. At the end of the interview, there was silence in the room. Finally, his PR person broke the silence, and she said, well, that wasn't an interview, that was a therapy session. And we all started laughing, and he came up straight to Rick and myself, like a beeline, and said, that was my favorite interview. No one has ever asked me questions like that before. No one's ever asked about my childhood. Everybody asked about other things. That was my favorite interview. Well, I kept a relationship with Hef, and I knew that at Christmas I gave him a Bible. I sent him a thank you note with a book by Ravi Zacharias, Can Man Live Without God? And I said, Hef, you've accomplished everything there is that this world says there is to accomplish, except one thing. I believe you know a living God, but not a loving God. And this book can maybe help you have the last accomplishment. That never would have happened if I didn't have people praying for me, if I wasn't a Christian in Hollywood, serving people with the love of Jesus. We know now of over 10,000 Christians in Hollywood. Those are only the ones I know. God is doing a movement in Hollywood, but we need more prayers. We need more people to gird us up, to hold us up while we're working there. I have information about the Hollywood Prayer Network and back. Would you join us in praying for Hollywood? Would you join us in lifting up the people, the projects, the issues, and the heart of God to be more present there? And if you do that, this room alone could change the world. Thank you so much.